Hello writers, come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today is Tuesday and we're going to have a writing prompt. The prompt is starting in the middle of a story, or at least after a big scene. What you have is a soldier or warrior or fighter or something similar. This character wakes up on the battlefield after the battle. So you are describing the scene that this downed soldier can observe. You will start with any sensations within the character. And then if your character can look around, what does he or she see? What does your character smell or hear? Then, what does your character remember about this, or how he or she got here in this position? You can end with how your character gets out of this. Does your character just stand up and walk between the bodies of the battlefield? Does someone come over to check on him or her, like a medical team? Or perhaps your character can't move at all and has to wait for help to come. This is not a story for us yet, although I found this in a journal. When I was looking for that other journal, I found this journal. It was in there. And so I intended it to be a story. And if we have enough fun with it, then we can add to the scene later. Later we can add the battle before, but not today. Today is after the battle. Your character isn't dead, and you have to decide how badly wounded or injured your character is. Note, I did not say this was the end of the story. This could be the catalyst to send your character off on his or her journey. And the battle before could be flashbacks during the journey, like maybe PTSD occurring, like some noise occurs and then you see a scene or something. Or it could be something to give the reader bits of information to make parts of the journey interconnected. So, writers, this is a paragraph or page. Basically, it's a scene. The scene is with your character coming to or waking up after a major battle. Your character observes things, including things for himself or herself. And you can have rescuers or medical help or some random person come upon your character, or your character can try to walk off the battlefield alone. That's your choice. That's why this is fun, because you have so many choices. I want you to have fun with it as you try to imagine how the character feels. So, pause the video and write. When you're finished, you come back and I'll read what I found in my journal. Welcome back, writers. Here is what I found in my journal. The loud, harsh sound of cawing filled Kilm's ears. It sounded like a large bird of prey, and it sounded close. Kilm felt the hot sun and knew it would be very bright when he opened his eyes, but he needed to figure out where he was. The thing was that it hurt to move, and it hurt to lie still. Pain rushed Kilm all over, and he just wanted to go back to sleep. Maybe the right dream would take his pain away. But Kilm could not sleep with all the cawing. Kilm blinked his eyes open a few times. The sun burned his eyes. He tried to turn his head away. Excuse me. But the sudden movement made him realize he was in his armor and on his back. Kilm's alarm went up. A downed warrior was a dead man. Kilm's wife always made him practice undoing the buckles himself. Kilm would do anything for Kansik, his wife, so he would always try his best. Kim relaxed as he thought about Kensick's small, delicate hands running up his chest. But he didn't relax long, as the cawing continued to pierce his ears and abruptly brought him back again to his situation. Kim blinked his eyes open several more times, and then he forced them open. What he saw startled him. 5, 6, 7, 8 vultures circled above him, and he knew more were already on the ground. His mind suddenly popped forth with the knowledge that vultures liked old rotten meat. But then he thought that maybe they didn't turn their beak up to any offerings. He briefly wondered where he got such knowledge. He remembered he got that from his grandfather on his father's side. Kim closed his eyes once again. He reached his left hand down to a buckle. His right arm seemed to be in more pain at the moment, but even such a small reach sent waves of pain through his arm. Kim decided that unbuckling was still his best option. Most anything would be better than waiting for vultures to feast on his dead flesh. Then he tried to think positively. That, well, at least he wasn't dead yet. A question entered his mind. What were the vultures feasting on anyway? He blinked his eyes open once again, and slowly turned his head. He saw lots of shining lights. He tried to focus. As he forced himself to look at a light, he realized that the sun was reflecting off a suit of armor. Every light he saw was a downed warrior. His alarm raised intensely, and his muscles tightened, which sent shockwaves of pain through him. How many warriors lay on this field? Was this all the men from his village? Was anyone else alive? Where were the women and children? Where were Kansick and Kipley? His finger brushed against the buckle. Then he tried pushing the stiff leather through the buckle. How long had he been out here? He opened and closed his mouth a few times. His throat was very dry, so he assumed he had been out here over a day. Where was his water sack? How far was it to the nearest water source? Caw! Came the loud sound from a vulture, landing too close to his head for his comfort. Kim calmed himself the best he could. He told himself, one thing at a time. His fingers pushed against the leather, but they slipped off, and he scraped his knuckles on the buckle. This was when Kim realized that even his fingers were sore. The battle went very badly, which he knew from his soreness and all the downed warriors, but he didn't remember anything about it. His fingers could finally feel the leather start to bend. Hope blossomed, which was good, because he scraped his knuckles several more times, but hope made him try again. Kim closed his eyes and worked on the buckle, his mind filled with his task, so that he didn't realize something was startling the vultures to fly away from his area. He finally undid one buckle, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Before Kim could reach his right arm down to unbuckle the other side, he felt something or someone lift the chest plate off him. This startled Kim, and his eyes flew open. A sleek unicorn was using its muzzle to lift the plate. Kim briefly thought, I'm dead. I must be dead. He received these thoughts. No, you are not dead, but you soon will be if we don't get you out of here. Kim thought, there's no such thing as unicorns. They're a myth. He received, I'm real, And we can communicate through thought. Your thoughts are how I located you. Kim slowly rotated his head to see all the sparkling lights. Are there any others alive? I don't know, thought the unicorn. I don't read or hear a dead person's thoughts, so I have to wait until they gain consciousness. Now, let's get you out of the armor. Somehow an enemy had cut the buckles on the right side because the unicorn had successfully flipped the chest plate off. Now Kim slowly raised both arms to his helmet and started to push it off his head. His arms hurt, especially his right arm. But after a little struggle, the helmet slid off. Okay, writers, that's the end of the journal entry. I don't know if I did the call right, because I should have looked that up, the sound of a vulture, before I read that. Anyway, I have memories of a story in my mind that was similar. But I don't know if this is it or not. There's only 868 words. And to really remember everything I thought about a story, I need closer to 10,000 words written or typed. If this is the story I'm thinking about, if memory serves me, then this was supposed to be like a normal battle between two villages or clans or kingdoms. But then in the middle of the battle, as they're fighting each other, then some upright lizard humans ran through the battle and slashed everyone in their path from both sides. Even the drummers that they had in the battle, and no one ever intentionally hurt the drummers. But I don't remember if this is that story or not. So that means I can go anywhere from here. Anywhere. Right? We can take it anywhere and leave it. So now you leave a comment below on if you've ever awakened and not known where you were or what happened to get you there. I mean, sometimes we wake up and we're like, where are we? Because we're, sleeping in a motel or something and not at home. But I'm talking about, like, don't know how you got there, even after, a few minutes. Because I was in a car accident as a preteen. And I woke up in the ambulance. The ambulance had bright lights. And I had to piece together the events that led up to that point in time. It took me a while. And then, people had to come in and tell me that I was, once I got to the hospital, they had to come in and tell me that I had been in a car accident and stuff like that. But I didn't seem to have any broken bones or anything. I just had this scar on my chin here. So I was very fortunate, very lucky. My stepmother, who was driving, did die in that crash. But the point that I want you to comment on is that I woke up laying on a bed in the ambulance. There were lights everywhere. And I didn't know how I got there. I didn't have a clue that I had been in a car accident. They had to tell me that. So, leave that comment. If you are a soldier or a veteran, leave a comment on how you would have felt if you had been in Kim's place. So, would you have been scared? What thoughts would have been going through your mind? Would you have thought back on your wife for a moment and relaxed a little bit and then been brought right back to your current situation? What else would you have thought about? Would you have thought about a comrade that, one of your closer soldier friends or whatever? So let us know if you were in that situation as a soldier or veteran. What would you think and do and that kind of thing. Now, side note, I do have Kim, that's K-I-L-M, Kim as a character in a different story. So most likely this name will change here in this story. I'm not sure to what yet, but it will probably change. I've written quite a bit more on the other story. I think 60 or 70,000 words on that one. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But the name Kim fits the other character. And I don't like reusing names so much. Especially not, you know, Kim in the other story is not a main character, but he's very much, you know, with the main character for a lot of her journey. And that's in Tristan. So this one here, it sounds like it's the main character. So I don't want to use the same name. Now, I do have similar names in my stories. Like City of the Ancients, we had Kirsha. And in The King's Daughter, I have a character named Krisha. That's very, very, very close. And if you're dyslexic like me, the two names sometimes look the same. Because Kirsha, you know, the KY was for the Kai and magic user. So hers was KYRSHA. And then Krisha is KRYSHA. So those two letters just flip. Oh, sometimes that looks the same to me. Anyway, I've told you that changing name is super easy. I press Control on your keyboard. You press Control, which is spelled CTRL, Control, and then Find, which is actually the F on the keyboard. So Control Find, and then it pops up on the left side of your screen, and you click the arrow that's inside, you know, the little search bar. There's an arrow, and it's next to the spyglass, to the right of the spyglass. So you click on that. There'll be a list that drops down, and then you click on the replace in this list. That way you don't have to search the whole document and retype the new name, whatever. And if you remember several weeks ago, I had spelled Zolita incorrectly. So I used Find Replace tool, and I fixed it. So when I decide what name for Kim, I will Control Find, hit the little arrow, replace, and then there'll be two bars. And I'll put Kim in the first name, and then I'll put whatever name I decide in the second one and go replace all. And it'll tell you how many times it replaced it. I replaced, like when I did Zolira, I think it was like 2 or 3 replacements, but I've had it to where I replaced 500 or something, you know, replacements. Very many. So it's just depends how many you have, but it's a lot easier to do it that way than to try to do it yourself, go through and type each one. Another side note, a lot of times I make up names, like we just discussed. I make up names, or at least I use names that Microsoft Word doesn't recognize, and it red underlines the name, so it's like misspelling kind of thing is what it's trying to tell you. So I then start an Excel sheet with the character names. I put the name with the spelling I want and a short description. Then in my Word document, I right click the red underlined word and I scroll down to Add to Dictionary. In this way you can create special dictionaries for your stories. Also, if you've been using a name and suddenly it's red underlined again, then check your Excel sheet to double check your spelling. Sometimes if you right click, it will suggest the spelling you've been using from your dictionary. Sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how close the name is to a real English word kind of thing. So, but it's once you add it to your dictionary, it's very easy for you to see if you've spelt it the same or not. If you want to share your writing from today with me, then send it to WritewithMykela@gmail.com. I would love to read it. If you want me to read it for the channel, then include written permission. I will happily read it to the channel so people can get that different idea. You know, we talked about perspective, and you know, I kind of imagine, I've never been in that situation of that warrior, but I just kind of imagined it, but somebody else might imagine it differently. Or if a veteran wrote, then that we'd have the real thing, quite possibly. So hopefully the veteran wasn't in that situation, but he might have had a friend that was in that situation or whatever. So we'd have closer to the real thing, and that would be really interesting for my viewers. So send your material with written permission and I will read it. I will post it on Tuesday, and it would be, this is episode 11, so it would be 11.1 or 11.2 or whatever, however many I get. So that would still be lined up with the down soldier kind of thing. Join me Friday for chapters 4 and 5 of Eleni's Pride, Book 1, Breaking Point. Chapter 4 is very short. Join me Tuesday for another writing prompt with your cave. I guess we should say part 6. I'll go back and count to make sure. In between days, don't forget to visit my website, WritewithMykela.com, and read some character bios. If you hit the like and subscribe and the bell notification, then we will continue to write together. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, then please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.